Competency number 7. Was the trainer aware of the surroundings and the pupil's actions? So if we look to the ADI 1, which is the examiner's guidance for this for the ADI Part 3 or standards check, we will see that there's actually no examples of what shows competence or lack of competence in this area, which tells me that it's pretty straightforward. And if this isn't met, then what are we doing here? That's my opinion. We should be at the height of safety on the road if we're classing ourselves as a driving instructor, and therefore we should be aware of the pupil and the surroundings. That's our job. That's the crux of the driving instructor industry, in my opinion. But the biggest thing is the timing of looking at the learner and when to watch them. And one of the first things I teach, as well as giving clear, accurate directions, is when to watch the learner, because it goes hand in hand. Now, when you go for your Part 3, or just knowing this anyway, if you're on your pink badge, start doing this if you haven't been trained or you've learned from a book, which I keep hearing people are learning to get through the Part 3 on their own. I think that's very difficult. I think role play is actually quite a good thing, because if you're with someone who knows what the industry is about and knows where the pitfalls are with people failing the test, they can train you in that area to make sure you don't fall down on this. And don't forget, in risk management, we have to score 8 out of 15 to pass, otherwise it's an automatic fail. So let's talk about watching the person first, so watching the pupil. So ideally, this is what we should be doing. We should be watching the person before we give the direction. So at the roundabout, follow the road ahead, second exit. The first thing that person should be doing, doesn't matter if they're an advanced driver, fleet driver, if they're a learner, is the mirrors. We know that, whether they're slowing down, whether they're putting the signal on, whatever it is, it should be mirrors. So if we've watched them, then given them the direction and kept watching them, and they've put a signal on or they've started braking, we know 100% there is a fault there. And then we go into our core comps: identify, analyse, remedial action. But we know we've seen a fault. What we can't be 100% sure of is if we're giving something what we call windscreen instruction. So I've seen a lot of the time when instructors are looking out the windscreen and they're saying at the roundabout, follow the road ahead, second exit. And then they're looking at the pupil. During that time, that split second when you're giving that instruction, their eyes could have checked the mirror. So you cannot say 100% you have seen a fault. So that's just one example of timing it. I'll just explain the way I would do if I was given an instruction for, it doesn't matter who it is, whether it's a learner or a full license holder or advanced driver. I would firstly be looking. Then I'd say at the roundabout, follow the road ahead, second exit. I'd be watching the mirror checks gone on. Then I would look at the road and my mirrors. Where is everyone? Then I'd be watching the hands and eyes and feet. So next would be the feet and the hands mainly. Are they putting that signal on too early, too late? Have they started braking harshly? Are they braking too late? Are they moving into position a little bit too early or too late? It's down to the MSPSL or the IPSCA, information position speed gear acceleration, or mirror signal position speed look. And that's what we're looking for, faults within that. The other thing is to look for outside. If we're not aware of what's going on outside, we can't be 100% safe to prevent something happening. So for example, I'll give you something that happens all the time that unfortunately your learner won't notice. If you were teaching a learner, that, as you will understand, whenever you're learning a new skill that involves a lot of uncoordinated ability, we tend to be very blinkered, or we tend to be looking down. This is the learner, will be very much unaware of what's going on. So it's up to us as trainers to make them aware. So whether we've got to put the hazard in the question, have we seen the blue car behind? Or what do you notice about his position? You might say I was about to overtake here, so what are you going to do? That's great questioning as you're coming into a junction and that's happening, because at least you've prevented that from happening by a question. You're not over instructing, not under instructing, but you've proved you are not only aware of the surroundings, but you're aware of how to control that learner as well. If someone comes flying out of nowhere and you haven't noticed, that's not good. And let's not forget, we have to score 8 in this area, well, not on this competency, but in risk management. You can kind of understand why there's no examples in the ADI one on this, because that's our job. Our job is to teach a learner, so therefore notice what the learner's doing and to keep everyone safe. I hope that helps.